The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Cowboys Nation, not a happy day. Sorry. Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison, Jess Navarez, and Christy Skills. I wish today was a happy day. Unfortunately, it is not. The Cowboys falling on Sunday in Week 6 to the Detroit Lions, 47-9, the final. Something that took everybody by surprise just because of last week as far as the confidence that was building surrounding this team after their win in Week 5 against the Steelers. But I guess we'll just start with this because there's so many things to really unpack on what happened on Sunday. I'll start with just first overall thoughts on, the frustrations with this team and why the same things continue to happen. And Christy, I'll start with you.
Well, worst home loss in Jerry Jones's tenure. The defense couldn't get a stop, was on their heels so much of the game. I mean, the Detroit running backs, Gibbs and Montgomery, are terrific, but not getting touch oftentimes until they're 7 or 8 yards downfield. And we keep talking about complementary football. The one time that you try and, that your defense really, really needs help from your offense and you turn the ball over 5 times, and you're still making the same mistakes with turnovers in the red zone. It was a very, very, very frustrating game and not the way that you want to enter the bye week.
Yeah. Ew. It was repulsive. I don't have another word to sit there and have to watch it. And to know that this game was over so early on, like you could see the drop in everybody's mentality, their faces, their attitude, their fight. It just wasn't there again. And we've talked about before how, when teams come at the Cowboys and they punch them in the mouth, where's your counter punch? Nope. They sat there and they said, keep punching me, keep going, keep going. Like they were almost inviting themselves to get it beat as bad as they did. And that's what's the most frustrating for me, to answer your question, Nicole, is I hate seeing this team go down without even putting up a fight. Like, they made it so easy for the Lions to continuously get chunk plays and allow them to just get so creative on their offense. They're pulling flea flickers out of who knows where. Like, I'm sorry, but there was just no fight. There was no fight. You knew the injuries were a thing. You knew going into this game you had the short end of the stick here. It just, how do you go looking that unprepared? It was embarrassing, and at this point, I don't really think I'm frustrated because I'm not surprised. If anybody's surprised based on what we've seen throughout the offseason, throughout the rest of their losses, you're not paying enough attention, and I'm not surprised. I'm just annoyed that it continues to happen.
Yeah, I think embarrassed is the proper word of like what I felt watching the game, and just I think, early on when you mentioned the offense, they took the ball. I think they felt the urgency that they needed to go score. And so you get down there, you have a couple good drives. Mm-hmm. They stall or you have a turnover. Quarterback can't do that. Mm-hmm. And to your point, Christy, I feel like once that happened and they didn't score, you could feel that it was good night. Like, you could feel that this offense, specifically where this team is, doesn't have the firepower to come back down 2 possessions right now. Mm-hmm. And you just felt that. I wasn't in the building, but I could feel the air go out the building. And then all of a sudden, it was just like the Lions had, again, an answer for everything. And they had fun out there. They did scout team stuff. Yeah. And so the preparation, specifically on the defensive side, is something that I'm kind of like, about, but those guys just got beat off the ball. And the offense, like Christy said, it should have been them that set the tone, and they set the tone in a bad way early.
Yeah. The thing we talked about was last week was stealing possessions, right? That you knew that that Detroit, with all of their offensive weapons, that they were going to put up points. So what did the Cowboys have to do to keep pace? Get off to a fast start, which they did in the opening possession with a field goal. The second possession is when they had the interception there in the red zone. But we said that you have to steal possessions, and you do that by taking the ball away.
Yeah.
And yet you were the one that was turning the ball over. So, yeah, it's just, it is frustrating to your point, Jess, because the 3 home losses, there are the similar themes. Unable to, but to me, it was worse yesterday in terms of the defense, and a lot of it was because they're so depleted injury-wise, and not having Eric Kendricks hurts, and they weren't able to get Kalen Carson back, and you're down your top 4 defensive ends. So these aren't excuses; these are reasons.
Yeah.
But the broken tackles, the missed tackles, and the yards after contact that Detroit continually amassed. I don't know for you, Nicole, but I think we're. For me, that was truly disappointing.
When you talk about the takeaways, for me, I think it's frustrating when, of course, I mean, you already knew going in you don't have a Deron Bland. You don't have Kalen Carson. Well, speaking specifically for Deron Bland, I mean, that was most of your production from takeaways from 2023. But, I mean, you go into the season knowing you don't have him, you don't have Kalen Carson. That should force guys to step up. And I just don't see why I'm not seeing that.
Well, what was happening yesterday was Jared Goff. Yes, there were 3 sacks, but you talk about the cleanest pocket in
beautiful.
the history of football.
He was
had
camping
all
out in
day
there.
to throw.
He pretty much spent the night in the pocket.
So it's an NFL quarterback, if you don't pressure them, they're going to pick you apart. And a cornerback's best friend, a defensive back's best friend, is a good pass rush.
Yeah.
And they're just so depleted, the Cowboys, that I mean, sure, you can try and trick, do some things and be creative, but when you blitz, that's a risk reward because you're sending an extra person, but that opens up a space if you're blitzing. So
Well,
They
then
brought
that's
5 once. Go ahead.
Then that goes to, I mean, this team was doomed from the start, if we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Because you think about, obviously, the offseason, not going out to get any guys. You never know what's going to happen in this league as far as injuries and things like that. And so I think you knew that you don't have the depth, specifically talking about the pass rushers. So now it's like you're in a position where you're having to rely on guys that weren't even on the roster as of
A week ago.
August? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's just the most frustrating part for me.
Yeah, I mean, Christy, you mentioned the blitzing.
which they didn't really,
The Cowboys brought 5. And they couldn't.
They didn't get to him.
They couldn't get home.
They couldn't get to
They
him.
brought 6.
They
And
couldn't
still
get to
couldn't
matter.
get to them. That freaking offensive line, man. I mean, just to see how they operated, and to your point, Nicole, to everything you said, especially on the defensive side, the defensive ends being out, you're down a couple corners, you're down your Michael linebacker. It literally means you have to be perfect on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Your run game's not going. As the offense, and I think that's with Dak specifically, some of this decision making that he's making that you're just like, what the heck are you doing? You feel the pressure of like, hey, we got to score. Like, we have to score. And so he did take more risk. Also, too, they're not running the ball well, so he's forced to pass considerably more. But I think that to get down to the bottom of it is just that this team right now, because of all the injuries on the defensive side and the lack of running ability on the offensive side are requiring you to be perfect, and that's honestly just like not one of those things that happens in football like that unless you're the Lions. But I mean, Jared Goff has been perfect in some of these games as far as his execution. But to your point, it's kind of like it's a little doomy and gloomy when you have to be perfect every time you're on the field right now. So.
Well, and that's here's where my issue is. You knew these injuries happened. Like, y'all had weeks to prepare of if Micah doesn't return, if Deron doesn't return, if Kalen doesn't return. And I understand the pressure that you're putting these young guys that really don't have a lot of experience, or they do, and they haven't had a lot of NFL playing time. Like, you're putting these guys in positions, like you said, Aisha, to be perfect. And then you have all your starters out, basically. I don't know what people expected to see. I just didn't expect it to be that bad. And it was that bad, in my opinion, because they weren't putting up a fight. Like, The only people I saw consistently putting up a fight on the defensive side of the ball, Damone Clark and DeMarvion Overshone. That is it. Other than that, how many times did you see Trayvon just kind of being like, oh, you're flying by me, I'm not going to tackle? Look, I get it. You're coming off of that ACL injury. You don't like to tackle. Man, this is your do or die game. You have to do it because now you're in a position where you have completely just undermined yourself as a team. No team going forward is going to take you serious because now they know what they do. They make the first punch, they keep going and going. They're depleting you your second drive of the game. I mean, it's so frustrating. And to your point about the offense, you're so one-dimensional because you just start passing so early. You just completely disregard the run. You don't allow your who should be running back one to just take the ball, run down the field, warm up the run, get the hot hand going. I don't understand what is going on.
That leads me to my next question. With the run game pretty much the key to why you won in week 5, let's keep it a stack as far as Rico Dowdle. It being non-existent pretty much yesterday, why?
Can I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I thought they ran too much on first down and they got jack.
Yeah.
So
It was,
and then they're in 2nd and 9, second and 10.
They were behind the sticks a lot.
I mean, like old school football, it's run to set up the pass.
Right.
But that's
do
not
that.
working. So
Yep.
it's now you're having to pass to set up the run, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's not that one is right and one is wrong. It's playing to your strength. So I mean, look at the first quarter. Cowboys' first possession, Rico Dowdle, right tackle, 1 yard gain. Let's see, the second one, they did a short pass on that one. In the second quarter, Rico Dowdle, left guard. Next possession in second quarter, Zeke Elliott, right guard, to the right side for no gain. So, they were running it and not having any success, and then getting in second and long, and that's when the defense can really pin their ears back and go for it in terms of pass rush.
And where's the creativity?
Where is it? Not in the room.
Well,
it's not
but-
in the state with us, actually.
He's asking the question
Wow.
no, listen,
I'm not having it today.
definitely also have
I'm
to
off of
give-
vacation. I had to come back to this. Are you? I left Disneyland for this.
Why
The
they going?
happiest place on earth.
Yeah, not so happy anymore.
Oh goodness.
Definitely want to give some credit to that Detroit defensive line. I mean,
Yeah.
And then also too, before we go forward, Aiden Hutchinson, just want to definitely
Yes.
send
Yes.
our
Yes.
regards to him. We've seen something like that here in Dallas, and it sent shockwaves through our this area here. So just want to acknowledge him, and he wrecked the beginning of that game.
Yeah.
He blew up a lot of, and that's the thing about Aiden Hutchinson, is that in the world of DNs that can rush the passer, he can do both. Just the way he affected the run early and his penetration consistently. I mean, he wore down everybody that was in front of him. And so just obviously got to give some credit to that Detroit defensive line.
sure.
Because they whooped the Cowboys offensive lines A-word all day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say everybody got it, everybody got it. The
Yeah.
only person that had a semi-good day was Tyler Smith, and he is just so gifted. But everybody else got blown off the ball, and there was no – and if you were – I will say, Christy, there was a lot of negative runs to start. You probably should have had another – in respect – should have had another back there. With the lack of push that you're getting, you can't have a guy that's a little bit slower developing. You need a guy to at least be able to skirt through and be able to get skinny or whatever. I thought that more so could have been a Rico Dowdle in that moment. I do understand they did have Zeke in for some pass pro things and stuff like that, but Rico's shown he can do that as well. I think they should have tried to lean on him a little bit more, especially early in this game when you realize we're not getting any push. We at least need a guy that can accelerate and bounce it outside if we need to. So, yes, like the Detroit defensive line made your run, your offensive line. When I'm telling you all, people are on the ground.
Yeah.
They are getting demolished. Like the amount of push that they got is and Dak, we were talking about it earlier. Well, how many QB hits? 11?
11 hits.
11 and how many
pressures.
pressures? 18 pressures.
Yeah.
Y'all, like let's be real here. Like
You can't do anything.
there's
with
not
that.
much you can do, and he's in a three-step drop, y'all.
Yeah.
And people are in his face.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Well, it doesn't help when you're just relying on him to pass the ball. It doesn't help when you don't have a consistent run game that people take seriously, because guess what? Had you addressed this when you should have, and I'm going to nag on this all offseason, you have a dang starting running back. Rico Dowdle is your running back one. I don't know what the issue is. Like, I'm so tired of sitting here every week being like, oh, well, Rico should get the ball. We know that already. I don't know why the play calling isn't playing to both of their strengths, because guess what? Two things can be true. You can have a Rico Dowdle getting you down the field. You brought Zeke in for red zone production. Why are you not even using him when you're in the red zone?
They don't run the ball in the red zone. That's what's hurting them.
Well, for pass pro, whatever you need from Zeke, he can do it in the red zone. But why are you not playing to their strengths? Because right now, everyone wants to blame personnel and, hey, you don't have the right guys in the room. I don't necessarily believe that, because, again, you still haven't even had a chance to really see what they can do, because your play calling is not favoring your running backs right now. They're completely disregarding the run, making it such a one-dimensional offense that all Dak has to do is pass. And guess what? When that offensive line is crumbling in as quick as it was, yeah, you're going to have 5 interceptions. You're going to have just a completely horrible game, and I don't know what anybody expected.
They were getting home with 4, sister.
It was bad.
Yeah. They were getting home with 4.
It was bad.
That's what made it even worse, is like when teams,
they're picking on you.
You can't run against light boxes.
Yeah.
Y'all.
Yeah, they don't respect the run.
The Cowboys went jumbo for no reason. Like, it was, I'm telling y'all, they lost the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball in a way that I have not seen in a while. It's just, to see the film, it's just rough. So anyway, their will was better. Their will was stronger than theirs.
That's something Jordan Lewis had took accountability for, as far as this team. Just, they got out physicaled, outplayed, outcoached, everything
Heavy
and
on
beyond.
that, coach.
Heavy on that.
And beyond.
I'm not playing with y'all today. All right, up next, we're going to be talking about the red zone struggles, the offensive line struggles, and more. We'll be right back with Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We will be right back.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
The Cowboys take on the 49ers in Santa Clara on Sunday, October 27th, so we're hosting another free watch party presented by 7-Eleven. Join us at the Miller Lighthouse at AT&T Stadium to watch the game with Cowboys Nation. Cue Thunderstruck because the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are performing and Rowdy will be there too. Watch the game, grab a Slurpee, that sounds good, and cheer loud. Get your free tickets at DallasCowboys.com/watch party. I know y'all are probably not in the mood to hear that, but a free Slurpee sounds delicious.
Hey, the last watch party, the Cowboys won for watching Pittsburgh. So there you go.
Maybe.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the away games that have been
I'm
an
glad
issue.
that this happened this weekend. so
Facts. Well, before we turn our heads to the 49ers, they got a lot to clean up this week in this bye week, specifically offensive line struggles. Zach Martin obviously having his worst game since 2021, and everyone else pretty much struggling as well, continuing to struggle on that offensive line. Why has it been such an Achilles heel, the struggles on this offensive line this year?
Well, that's what's disappointing. I mean, you knew that you were going in with 2 rookies and that you'd have some growing pains. And then you enter this game and your first-round pick, the rookie Tyler Guyton, is active but watching from the bench, and they go with Tyler Smith to start at left tackle, and TJ Bass, who normally backs up at right guard, stepped in for Tyler Smith at left guard and played the entire game. TJ Bass did at left guard. So that was a surprise to a lot of folks. I think I broke that news, I don't know, about an hour and a half before kickoff.
Yeah,
Come on,
So, but yeah, it surprised a lot of people. But it had happened the week before in Pittsburgh, early in the second quarter, when Guyton had left with a knee injury. So Tyler Smith played 53 of 76 snaps in Pittsburgh at left tackle. So, and then presumably got some practice time last week at that position, left tackle, and more work for TJ Bass at left guard. But everyone's struggling. Now, have they gone up against premier pass rushers? They absolutely have, for everyone from Myles Garrett to TJ Watt to Aiden Hutchinson before his gruesome injury, but it's still not an excuse. Yeah. And honestly, we bag on the situation with the run game. Well, those guys don't have anywhere to go.
at all. There wasn't much yesterday.
At all. So there are some of these plays where it wouldn't matter if we were running back. If when there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to go.
I'd make it happen. With how upset I was about this loss yesterday, I would damn sure find a hole and make it through and get into that.
And Zach Martin, right guard, the future Hall of Famer, missing practice time last Thursday with a bad back, and of course he had the calf cramp up on him the week before, so he doesn't look like he's 100% health-wise. So this is a great time for the bye week. I mean, you can ask, hey, every year they'll say, oh, it's the perfect time for the bye. It doesn't matter if it's week 4 or week 9. Everyone will come up, oh, it's a perfect time for a bye, but this year it really is the perfect time for the bye. They need it.
To answer your question, honestly, I feel like it's kind of getting in their heads a little bit too. And when you have a rookie left tackle and you're playing from a perspective of Dak Prescott, quarterback, you go from Tyron Smith, who obviously all-pro veteran guy that you don't even have to bat an eye to. That kind of changes how everybody else has to play around you as well. So yeah, Christy, to your point, growing pains with rookies in. A rookie center that, we talked to Cooper Beebe, had to learn Dak's cadence, had to relearn really everything, even learn the playbook, which is not an easy feat for an NFL rookie. So these rookies are going through growing pains, but I also think the ripple-down effect of that was a little under-anticipated for how much it was going to impact the entire line, because you have Tyler Smith, who kind of has to play 2 jobs at once if Guyton's not doing his job, and same thing with Zach Martin, who's very banged up. You could see it last night. When Zach Martin gets a holding call, that's how you know. Yeah. That's how you know the game is just not going well. But to answer your question, I mean, look, we knew these growing pains would happen, but they also knew who they had to come up against. They knew what this first half of the schedule was going to look like. To me, it just seems like there's a lot of panic and a lot of a lot of panic. That's all I'll say, is a lot of panic coming from different angles, and it's all trickling down. So honestly, I don't know if that comes from your offensive line coach needing to be addressed in different ways or figuring out his coaching style a little bit differently. It just seems like even the fundamentals are not sticking. The footwork looks sloppy. The hands look sloppy. It's trickling down because I feel like mentally it's all creating panic instead of precision.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned like some of the technique and stuff like that. Because that matters. Different offensive line coaches teach different things. I would have to do a little bit more digging on like specifically what they're being taught and if they're retaining it or whatever the case may be. But we have seen this offensive line's play decline, like even last year. The run game has been a problem since last year. I mean, I could argue it was a problem the year before. But last year in particular, we did see a difference in how they ran the ball. I remember the guys talking about the different scheming and the way they were running the ball. I remember midseason Mike McCarthy saying to us, we need to go more inside outside zone, which was not what they were doing to that point. You can't do easy things like screen. I mean, like some of it is execution, but I do think that possibly some of the players are having some trouble executing some of the things they're being asked. However, I will say what hurt them yesterday was the twist stunts and things of that nature. Cooper Beebe, he's growing, and he's going to have a really good career, but the communication was not good between them. I saw a couple times he declared incorrectly, so he was saying that the linebacker was coming. Linebacker didn't come. They looped McNeil. Well, McNeil holds the double team, and then they looped, what is the guy's name? DJ Reader around. Like, they were trying to do things to open up things for Aiden Hutchinson. He was winning one-on-one, but the twist stunts and some of the stuff that they were doing, they even blitzed up the middle like you do. I mean, they just threw so many different things at this offensive line that with the shuffling even so, probably made things harder, communication-wise. You got guys out of position. You got guys that haven't played a crap ton with each other. T.J. Bass, Tyler Smith's over there. Cooper Beebe's a nugget. Zach Martin's having a hard time. It just was a recipe for disaster in that regard. And Terrence Steele had his fair share of issues with Aiden Hutchinson, man. So it's just not good enough from the offensive line standpoint for whatever reason, whether it's technique, whether it's just them not being powerful enough, whether it's scheme. It's just all of it just looks so clunky. And when you watch other teams run the ball, you literally just said that. You watch other teams run the ball. Yeah. It doesn't look like that.
No. So, okay, then where do you start? Because now they're into this bye week. And if we're being honest, it's probably going to be a little vacation time, for these players.
Well, it has to be by rule, by collective bargaining agreement between the players' union and the league. The players are given time off.
However, what I did like from Isaiah Stanback on Talking Cowboys this morning, he said as a former player, and if you're in a situation like this, even though you are required to take off and this is supposed to be a bye week, you sit down and you say, hey, wifey at home, girlfriend at home, like, I got a priority. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be here in the building. It can be somewhere else or whatever, figure it out. But, I mean, my question is to you, like, how do you improve on being more powerful? How do you improve on the fundamentals? I know that you necessarily need this bye week, but it's also like, where's the sense of urgency in trying to improve for the next few weeks of the season? Because you still got a long season ahead of you. Like Tyler Smith even said that as well.
It's literally like 11 weeks left.
And guess what? As dire and as things seem to be, and the doom and the gloom, you are one game out of first place in the NFC East.
Thank you,
The
Giants.
NFC East is not strong.
Thank you to the Giants for
losing. Washington got beat.
They keep saving you.
Yeah,
they do.
Philly doesn't look like the team
Washington had a
either.
chance to go up 2 games.
I wonder why.
So the Washington loss was really key yesterday, I think, for the Cowboys staying in it. So the urgency it's still there for the taking.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It really is.
Well, and to me, for this bye week, to answer your question, Nicole, to where you start is, first of all, get healthy. I think that's a very big thing, is you expect, or you hope, I should say, you hope to see Micah back, you hope to see Duron back, you hope to see Kalen back, sooner rather than later.
At the very least.
Yeah, at the very least after the bye, if not a couple weeks following. Yeah. So, first of all, get healthy. Don't put yourself in situations to get injured during the bye week. Be safe, be smart. They're players. They know that. So first of all, get healthy. But second of all, to your point of, no matter where you are or what you're doing, look, you're talking to someone who just took their bye week last week. And was I like phone off, I'm not looking at anything Cowboys? No, because I knew I had a job to get back to here to talk about this game and know what the heck was going on the week before. it's as easy as taking time, no matter where you are, to check, watch film, do what you need to do, prioritize. And I think that's what this team lacks sometimes, is the priority to be better for yourself. Instead, they're too busy trying to do that on game day instead of preparing ahead of time and doing it so you don't have to play hero ball come Sunday. So for me, I want to see a shift in priorities for this team, and that is, you do your own job, you work on yourself, everything should follow, instead of having to do your neighbor's job because they're not doing it. So I do want to see more work going into it individually.
I like that.
That's where you would start.
Yeah, that's where I'd start.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, I don't play in NFL football.
Listen,
there has to be something that
No.
something's got to give, man. You can't have another game like that. You just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think given some of the effort or lack thereof and some of the feeling, because I know that we've had different exchanges on this show about whether guys look like they were playing hard or not. I don't know if there was really any discrepancy in like what the effort output looked like in that third and fourth quarter. So with that being said, I would start with the locker room. I would start with the guys. I think that there needs to be an open dialogue of input for what they feel like they do well. Can they incorporate some of those things? Because guess what? When you talk about teams like the Chiefs, they have that. They have open dialogue. Players have talked about the fact that they can bring plays to Andy Reid. They can bring suggestions to him, and they'll implement them. They'll try these new things. So I think player input is important and kind of getting a feel for where they're at, number one. Number two, you need a DT.
Yep.
I don't care how you do it. I don't care how you do it. You need a DT, and you might need another running back. However you decide to do that, if you do it through the trade, if you do it, however you decide to do that, you need some talent on that side of things. And it's not to knock the guys that you have. It's just not good enough. And no one is afraid of them. They're losing one-on-one matchups. They're not even losing double teams. They're losing one-on-one matchups. Like, that's a whole nother thing. Will say that the defensive scheme, I believe, this is a totally new scheme than what they were doing before. I think we are seeing some of the mental wear of learning this new scheme. And again, this happens in NFL. We see this. We see teams get new DCs. Yeah. Philly went through it last year too. We see them get new DCs, and it just doesn't work, or it takes teams time to get used to it. Your safeties are killing you right now.
Yeah.
You need to have a conversation about them, because in this Zimmer scheme, your safety play is so intricate to the whole machine working, and they're not playing well right now, and it's hurting literally your third and your first level, because if they're not filling in the run the way they need to be, because there are plays that are set up for them to make. If they're missing tackles, that's a problem. If your safety isn't deep and he's peeking in the backfield and he's getting ran past, it's a problem. So for me, I think that I would attack some of the things that they can do. And on the last part, as far as the offensive line goes, figure out what works for quick game. You don't have clearly running the ball is something that you're struggling with. So if you're going to pass, you better be freaking good at it. Yep. So for me, I'm like, look at what the Lions do. Go steal, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, some of these concepts are not that complicated. They just work.
Yeah.
They just work against most defenses in the NFL, and we see teams do them every freaking week. And then we get here and we watch this offense, this passing offense, run curls all day. And there's nothing wrong with running some of those. It's nothing wrong with running some of those things. But at the same time, you are literally, if you're not going to be able to run the ball, you have to be a dominant aerial attack. You can't be that with the concepts that you're using right now. And I not understand that the offensive line has to play better and stuff, but there are quick game things that you can do. They did it to you.
Yeah.
Like, he sat back there in the pocket for a while, but a lot of this stuff is just tempo.
Or wearing down the defense.
There needs to be a belief in what you do. You don't
think they believe?
What do you see?
Oh,
do you see belief in what they're doing? And again, look at the other side of the ball. Look at the Lions. That's a team that trusts what their game plan was coming to this game, and they did have the bye. They did have more time. They are healthier. I will concede to all that. But they also had a plan, and they had faith they were going to execute it. No different than the Saints. They said the same thing. They their coach literally came out and said, we had a plan. We knew we could execute it. And that confidence, this team isn't playing with right now.
Yeah.
So I would groupthink, steal, Maybe trade some people.
Group think steal.
Trade some people.
Maybe trade some humans. Figure out what's going on with your safety room. Once you get your corners back, things will get a little better. You need to have a conversation with those gentlemen.
Something you touched on, you mentioned, was you don't see the confidence. You don't see the faith in the game plan. And I think it's ironic because you saw last year after week 5, I think it was week 5 or week 6, the loss to the 49ers, the confidence grew. And you would think that coming into this year, you know, second year under Mike McCarthy calling the plays, this is a system that you are now comfortable with, that the confidence would be there. I think that so many teams have just started to figure out what you're going to do.
It is. I feel like the NFL's leaving us behind.
Yeah,
exactly.
Does that make sense? Like, I feel left behind.
It doesn't.
When I look at the Commanders and all these other teams, I feel like we're just stagnant.
Yeah, it doesn't feel modernized to the personnel that you have. Like, it feels very cookie cutter offense, like basic conservative cookie cutter offense. It's like, here you go, here's your plan, but it's not actually designed like it was for your personnel last year. I feel like last year it was very much all about what Dak could do and playing to Dak's strengths and playing what he had around him, no matter the offensive line struggles that they had last year. Because keep in mind, you didn't have a consistent offensive line last year until, what, week 8?
Yeah.
Like,
And
it
you
was a
still made it
constant
work.
rotating chain, and Dak still played well. So for me this year, to see an offensive line struggling, okay, you've been there, so what does it trickle down to? Well, to me, you need to go back and sit down with your quarterback, just like they talked about last year when the Texas Coast offense was built. Where is that? Where's that, I guess, input from Dak Prescott? And I know Mike is all about input and all of that, but how much of it is really centered around what Dak can do right now with what he has? And another thing, you know, you were seeing what the Lions are doing. They spread the ball out well to all of their offensive weapons. You have offensive weapons that you don't even know how you can utilize yet because, again, you're not getting him that far to be able to do that because right now, his first check, CeeDee Lamb, if he's not open, who is it? You don't know. Jake Ferguson sometimes, maybe, who had a lot of drop passes yesterday that he has to be making in those tight window throws. Like, to me, it just seems very uncharacteristic of your start players right now to be making these mistakes. And to me, I go back to your Kellen Moore offense. When that was happening, it was because they were overwhelmed with the playbook and they were trying to play hero ball. And I see very similar occurrences in how these players are playing right now, doing the same thing. All right. Mic drop. Pen drop.
Okay, on that note, we are going to take our second break. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back to wrap things up.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
the best of the autumn season with Wrangler Fall Fest at the Star in Frisco. Join us on Saturday, October 19th for a day full of fall fun for the entire family. Enjoy live country music, hang out in the beer garden, and compete in Western-inspired games. Plus, capture fall photo ops, savor seasonal bites, and enjoy Wrangler shopping. Admission and parking is free. Visit thestardistrict.com for more information.
That sounds like a lot of fun, but yesterday the red zone trips not executing was not fun. Jess, what you got for us on Dak?
Okay,
in the
so
red zone?
The question has been going around, like, who do you blame for the red zone issues, right? Is it Dak? Is it the O-line? Is it the play calling? Is it everything, right? So I decided to dive deep because I remember taking a little time machine back. In 2021, the Cowboys led the NFL in scoring and reached the end zone on 28.6% of drives, the most in the NFL.
Say that one more time, slower.
Okay. In 2021, the Cowboys led the NFL in scoring in the red zone. They reached the end zone on 28.6% of their drives, which was the highest in the NFL back then. Back in 2021, Dak had a completion percentage in the red zone back then of 73.3%. He made 22 out of 30 passes in the red zone back then, okay? Keep in mind, that was under Doug Nesmeyer, who had 7 years experience at that point in his coaching career. Now he's with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, so I'm interested to kind of see how Jalen will progress under him. Keep in mind, 2022, that number lowered. Dak had 63% of completions in the red zone. That was 2022. 2023, 46.8 completion. So you can see that dropping. Keep in mind, Scott Tolzien came in 2022. At that point, he only had 3 years of NFL coaching experience. So to me, I'm kind of looking at your quarterback's coach a little bit for your red zone woes and how he's coaching Dak. When you compare how both of them coach offenses, Doug Nesmeyer was very, very adamant about a complete offense. And what does that mean? Not being one-dimensional, utilizing all of your players. And what's interesting, in 2021, you also had a rookie center. Tyler Biadasz, if you remember, but you also were, pretty well guarded with veterans around you at that point too. So this year I'm looking at it, you have a rookie left tackle, you have a rookie center, but what's the issue? To me, I think the quarterback coach needs to kind of reevaluate how he's coaching Dak, specifically in the red zone. I think the fundamentals have to come back in play. Aisha, when you were looking at the game, what did you notice about Dak's fundamentals in the red zone? Because to me, I went back to 2021. This is what I was doing today. I felt crazy. I went back to 2021. He looked so clean, so confident, like his chest was perked up when he's making passes in the red zone. Completely different guy this year. It's frustrating.
Lack of run game. He sped up. And then also, too, I'm pretty sure he probably had some running touchdowns, Dano.
He did.
The RPO. He said that a couple of weeks ago, and I've been looking for it from the big dog because there was a play in this game where he should have pulled it, and he didn't. Like, the play was for him to pull it.
There's some hesitation from him a lot.
There's some hesitation.
He wasn't playing with that back
In
then.
fairness, these players are human. He might understand. He can't say ouch.
Yeah.
In this situation, he can't say ouch like that, y'all, for real. So he might be more cognizant of that because he said that with conviction, 3 weeks ago? He said, I got to run more because we've seen the RPO and run action open up offenses that we've even gone against, be heavily reliant on it. So and we're not asking him to do it as often, but to your point, a lot of that, I think, plays into the comfort for him. Yeah. I don't particularly in the play that he got picked off on, baby, that is the same red zone play y'all have run before.
Yes.
Do you think these people don't watch film?
They just
you
read
think,
it.
you think
read it
people
like a
don't know
book,
that
man.
you run mesh or you run a crosser and then you have a post in the back, and it's an option? Do you think that people don't know that it's the same play? It's their favorite. It's one of their favorites.
And that's what Brian Branch did.
And Brian Branch is an intelligent player.
CD was not even his man. He came off of his man.
Because he knew the play. Because they've seen it. And so also to your point, some of the creativity, some of the things, but also too, let me keep it 1,000. You got lucky last week that Jalen Tolbert ran through the way he was supposed to because CD did not carry his guy as much as he needed to. These guys got to finish routes. I don't give a damn if you're not getting the ball. You need to at least play strong in the red zone. You also, too, Jake Ferguson doesn't have a single TD.
Yeah.
that tight ends are a huge part of your red
Tom
zone
Brady
efficiency.
talked about that in
Huge
the
part of your
broadcast.
red zone efficiency because they are a bigger body. Because you're not getting 50-50 things. I thought that Dak, the fade ball is not my favorite from Dak, but he can throw it. I've seen him throw it. Seen him throw it well. The things that people do in the red zone, you're not doing. And more importantly, you're not executing well enough in the run game down there either to help out your quarterback not be so jittery. I think one of the quickest solutions, to your point about making some of the red zone stuff better, is that him at least showing, I will run right here, humans, like at the very least. And so, I mean, there's a lot going on down there that's not okay. But
do you feel like it's decision making or play calling or both? Because to me, when I'm looking at it, a lot of it is, to your point, Nicole, hesitation in his decision making.
Well, it's a lot of pressure. Number one, he's throwing red zone picks.
Yeah.
So he feels that anxiety that he's doing that.
Yeah.
Those windows are super tighter. You aren't running the ball well. So imagine, like, you're midfield. People are already dropping 6-7 in coverage. Yeah. Imagine what that looks like, how congested that looks like on film. I see it on film, how congested it looks like in the red zone area. Yeah. You talk about, this quarterback is thrown into more tight windows than any other quarterback in the NFL. So it's also creating the separation, but you're not going to get it until you threaten with the run in some way. So we talked about what's an easy way to maybe get things going a little bit better down in the red zone. It might have to be your quarterback running just to open some things up and just to have guys a little more hesitant, you know, in the secondary. So
I agree. I think that you know, coming out of the bye week, I expect that to be one of the changes, one of the tweaks, you know, is making sure that you use Dak's skills running the ball. Yeah, but you know, that's a fine line though, because you don't want to expose the guy too much. But the threat at least has to be there from a defensive perspective.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, this has been fun chatting with y'all ladies. Hopefully the Cowboys do get things figured out in this bye week. If you have not gotten a chance to listen to Mike McCarthy, he is live now on DallasCowboys.com and on Dallas Cowboys Twitter. Make sure to go check that out. But for now, we will be back with more Girls Talk, Boys Talk tomorrow. But ladies, we'll be on different shows tomorrow. Jess, you'll be on you're on Mix Shots? No.
To be determined.
To be determined
if
on
y'all
where Jess will
text
be.
my bosses and let them know I have somewhere to be.
There we go. Okay, Christy.
To be determined. I'll see you tomorrow somewhere.
Go ahead and just check our website. We'll make sure to post out the full list. I know social will do a good job on that. Yes. But tomorrow here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, we'll have Ambar Garcia, Patrick Nosey Walker, and Heckma. So
that's
going to be fun.
Fun
Great
It's
show.
going to be a little
fun show.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m., so make sure to stick with us.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?